Well, welcome to our March edition of Let's Get Growing, and now it should be heating up in the landscape and things are beginning to grow. So, let's get growing. We want to prepare our beds for planting those springtime annuals and also some perennials. So, put 2 to 3 inches of organic matter in, such as compost, peat moss. Remember, composted grass, so that we remove the weed seeds, because when grass grows in your beds, it is a weed. Now in March you can still mow those freeze damaged ground cover beds such as Asiatic jasmine, but what you want to do is just wait till you see that the new growth starting, and then mow. Remember, raise that mower all the way up and remove the dead freeze damaged material and add it to the compost pile. You'll want to divide your existing clump of fall blooming perennials and check the screen for those, and remember to divide them and then set those clumps 8 to 10 inches apart. Plant from transplant spring blooming color, and we've got a long list here on the screen, but remember that March 15th is going to be our last freeze date, so don't become too anxious. And prune your spring blooming shrubs right after they bloom. And before planting all those annuals, we should have told you to prepare those beds by spading in 3 to 5 inches of organic matter down 8 or 10 inches deep. Now you can also, to help with fertilization, add 3 to 5 pounds of cottonseed meal or slow-release fertilizer to those beds and incorporate it in the top couple of inches of soil. And then compost is really good at the rate of 4 inches of compost, 12 inches deep. Now fertilize all your planting areas and use something low in phosphorus, and that's the middle number on a fertilizer label, because we have enough phosphorus in our soil. It's not mobile and it can also cause problems. Remember, many trees and shrubs are killed every year by the misapplication of weed control products. So stay away from weed and feed products, and we were going to want you to mulch all those newly planted areas, any bare spots, and around your trees. Now beware of those season closeouts on bare root shrubs and things that have been left behind, because they're going to be on sale, but the viability, the growth rate is just not very good this time of year. But you can grow container grown and ball and burlap trees and shrubs. And don't forget, feed the birds. They kill insects. Let's keep them alive. Well, today we're going to show you how to divide this succulent, and it's called a squirrel's tail. And it also blooms a white bloom that's just started right here. Now, you usually don't divide them when they're starting to bloom, because they're going to quit blooming. But in this case, you can see we're at the point where we need to repot, because I'm watering this almost every other day, and it's a succulent. So we're going to have to increase its viability by repotting. Put your fingers in around the base and just work it out. Now you can see why we're having to repot. You could take this and just put it into another container, but we actually want to share. So how do we start? We're going to take our hand trowel and cut down. When we've done this, it allows us to get in there and pull it apart. And as you can see, we've uncovered many little babies. And what we're going to do is decide what size container this should go into. And in that decision-making process, you look at how big the bulb is. And as you can see, we've got many little babies coming off here. Now, theoretically, each one of these could be repotted, But you see how this grew in a cluster, and it looks really nice. So let's just see how many we come out with first. And once again, just kind of pull them apart, and it'll tell you where it wants to break, because it's the easiest to pull apart. Once again, clean it up a little bit. Get down to some viable roots. As you can see, they're nice and white, where some of these were kind of brown. And look, we could even go further. Might even take this one. See how easily? And as long as you have that one root, you're fine. Now, what I'm going to do is return this to its original container. And you see it just looks good in this container. So remember that it's going to have the little spots on the leaves, white flowers. You've got red and green and some, not white, but an off-white silver color that's really nice. And as far as light goes, a little soil on the bottom, and then make sure your roots are down. Roots down, leaves up. And add the soil gently, a little bit more. The beauty of this container is it has a built-in lip. And see? We have a nice container of squirrel's tail. Now, we brought out several containers for us to look at, and we're going to just start out with these 4-inch. And you can see that it has a dark inside and a light outside. The reason why is if you're using an all-white container, the roots are going to want to pull away from that white if it's on the inside, because plants grow in the dark. The roots grow in the dark. So we're going to take this one, and you can see that its root system just fits perfectly in a 4-inch pot. And then once again, go around the edge. That way, we're getting it in the middle of the pot. And that's what we want to do. That gives it the most growing room. Now, when you're repotting a plant, it's important that they be sturdy in the soil, because if they're moving around, they won't put out new roots. The pups that we have, or the baby bulbs on here, are a little bit older than some of these that we were dealing with. See, these are brand new. These are a little bit more aged. So what we're going to do is put this into a smaller container. And these are actually considered a 2-inch. And so we put it in. I've had put in a little bit of soil in the bottom. And then I'm going to add it. And they'll stay in this container for about a month. And when you see viable new growth, you'll know it's time to step it up. It'll also tell you because it'll need a little bit more water. You're probably going to want to share these, so you might want to put some in terracotta pots, which will dry out faster than the plastic, and that way you can share with your friends who kill them with kindness. Remember, that's overwatering. So as you can see, we've gone from one plant to a cast of thousands, and you too now will have plants that you can share. How about having a plant whenever you need to give a present? You go pull one of these out and give them to a friend, because remember, they'll grow for you. They've grown for me. Succulents called squirrel tail, don't overwater, and remember, they grow in spite of us, not because of us. So let's get growing.